Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore, where we're going to be talking about the best of the groups, the Maestros. Now, what's cool about the Maestros is that they actually have like some lore to them. There's a few characters that have a little bit extra pizzazz thrown onto them. Really, there's only like two that are just kind of there and not really doing anything. But let's get into it before we go on any longer. So basically, just like we had the artisans of the Riveteers, we had the wizards of the Obscura, now we have essentially just the aristocracy, the rich people with the Maestros. And they basically are comprised of either you got money or you're an assassin or you're an artist. But technically, all three of those tend to be the exact same thing with the Maestros. And what you'll see here is the story is this, like their thing is unveiled, is that they have a really weird setup. They think of their violence as art, but they also love actual art, and they are keepers of history despite the fact that they don't remember anything about their history. So it's a very strange mixture of these things where, yeah, it says this, but then what does that actually mean? So what we have essentially is Lord Xander with a giant vault of just a bunch of different things that are specifically designed to either explain or show off the way the old world used to be. He has actual paintings of Phyrexians, like fighting angels and statues and stuff and weapons designed to fight them, but he doesn't know what it's there for. He looks at it and he can't remember. Like it talks about how it's fuzzy. So basically, they act as philanthropists. They also have vampirism. No other group really has vampires, really. So, like, there's only vampires with Xander. And so that means that I feel like that's a real big shift as far as like who's got the power in this situation, because if they felt like it, they could just start turning people. But then I guess that would be extra power they don't want to lose. And then is Halo a good substitute for blood? And if it's a holy thing, is that affecting the vampires? Apparently not. But you know, that's just the Maestros. They hang out mainly in the Mezio, just like the Obscura do. But they have their headquarters in Park Heights. So they tend to stay out of the Chaldea. They don't really want to, because again, they're very fancy, they're very high class. So there's no reason for them to be down in the dregs of everything else. And they have assassins. Assassins prefer to have big marks. They have big public displays to show off their artwork. So with all that said, let's go into the legends. We already know about Angelo, who is a painter. He's actually called Angelo the Painter, which is great. I love that. And so he calls his art the hidden spectacle. And so we have all of that. And we can just real quick note that we have Errant, the street artist, who is his daughter, but is not a maestro. She has a legend card, but she's not actually a maestro. She's just there, most likely because she's joining up with an Obscura as far as the marriage goes. So that would explain that little divergence, I suppose. Then we have Parness. Parness is the skilled brush. The subtle brush, sorry. So Parness's whole deal is that, like, she's a vampire, and like vampires can't see their reflections, so the idea of being able to paint yourself is kind of impossible. And so basically, what she specializes in is painting vampires to give them the opportunity, because obviously a vampire, since they can't see themselves, they're vain vampires, they want to be able to see how they look. But if you take a paintbrush and you make up a person on the board, and they see it and they go, that guy looks a lot fatter than I think I am, or that guy looks a lot paler than I think I am, then they're going to kill you. That's pretty simple. So what she does is she's essentially able to use her subtle brush to get what they think they are. Basically, she's able to kind of use a little bit of magic, or a little bit of Obscura magic, to be able to find out, okay, this is how this person views themselves, and then is able to put that into the art and kind of morph how it looks, add a bit more dignification to a character if they feel like it, or a bit more cunning to their look. And basically, by doing that, she's able to basically get like basically everyone to want her to do their portraits. So I love that. I think that's just a great little smidgen of a story for her character. It's really cool. I love that. So then we have Evelyn. Evelyn she's called Evelyn the Covetous. And so her whole deal is that she was around during old Capenna. And it was during that time that she was like one of the first people to get Xander's vampirism. And she's like one of the only 5, like there's like 6 people essentially that still remember the old Capenna as it was without the Phyrexians, and she's the only one that's not one of the main people. She used to be with Lord Xander, but that was like a ton of years ago, so they kind of just broke it off. And even with all of that, she's basically one of the top people in this whole deal. She's one of the main people. She's extremely polite and generous and accommodating to the other Maestros. And of course, that's because she sees them all as basically children. And despite all that, she is basically an assassin as well. And she will not hesitate to kill whoever she needs to. But that's because, obviously. Now, that leaves us with a few characters that don't have nearly as much to them. And again, this is the same kind of idea as we had before. But just to cover them real quick, you have Mari, who's called the Killing Quill. She's not confirmed to be a Maestro, but the fact that she is described as the Killing Quill makes me think that she has something to do with writing. She's definitely not a broker, and being an assassin as her creature type and a vampire leads me very strongly into the idea that she's part of the Maestros. Also, I mean, I could also just include the fact that she's in the commander deck, but that's beside the point. With that, we also have Cormella, who's known as the Glamour Thief. We don't know a ton about her, just the general idea that she likes to steal stuff. But besides that, that's her character. That's Cormella. Cormella's got a cool alternate art, and that's pretty much it. With that, we have all the Maestros figured out. All 7, well, technically 6 plus Errant have been explained. Lord Xander, of course, is Lord Xander. We'll see more of him in the actual story. But until next time, guys, we're going to go on into the next bushel of baddies, which is going to be the Cabarettis. So thank you guys for watching. And until next time, travel well.